Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Adults Don't Exist. I'm so excited to have you join me today as we take a walk down memory lane. We are about to revisit one of the greatest cartoons of all time, Hey Arnold. If you were born in the 90s, maybe even a few years before that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the cartoon with the boy with the football shaped head. He was pretty chill, kind. He had his own little vibe that people gravitated towards. And he even grew up in a city that was very similar to New York City. He was in an apartment with his grandparents, surrounded by loving neighbors. Overall, amazing show. But the thing is, I gotta revisit it because there were things that just went over my head, things that I just did not peep as a child because you don't know what you don't know. Certain jokes or certain lines, it does not hit until you become an adult because now you got new eyes, new ears. You see things a little differently. I think sometimes we get older and we like, I gotta leave that kid stuff behind. We don't watch cartoons no more because we think that that's something that was solely for us when we were kids. But these are adults who are creating these cartoons, and we have to assume that they know their target audience. Their target audience is not just the children who are watching, but also the adults who are forced to watch because where they gonna go? They gotta watch their kids, you know what I'm saying? But not only do I just want to talk about Hey Arnold, I want to talk about a character in particular. In this particular case, I want to talk about Helga Pataki, the truth behind Helga Pataki and why she is the way that she is on this show. We know her as one of the meanest cartoon characters to ever exist. You know what type of time she was on. Like if you in her way, she gonna push you out of her way. If you breathing too hard behind her, you might just get knocked out. She was mean to everyone. Everyone, including Arnold. Arnold, somebody being one of the nicest people in the world, would give you the shirt off his back. She was mean to him too. But you know the crazy thing? She was in love with him. Like absolutely obsessed with him for to whatever capacity a 9-year old cartoon character could be in love with somebody. Okay? But how is it that somebody could love you so deeply and still go out of their way to treat you poorly? That's a serious question. And it's not just about this cartoon. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm hoping this little character analysis turns into some self analysis because this question I just posed this is a real life thing. Like this happens to people for real. You treat people with kindness, you do things for them, you go out of your way for them, and they still disregard you, treat you poorly, whatever. Like this is a real life issue. And that's what I'm saying. Cartoons ain't just for kids. There's a lot of substance here, okay? And as we break this down, it blew my mind, okay? It just really did. And I hope that y'all get what I'm getting from it. So, the simple answer to that question, how can somebody love you so deeply and still treat you poorly? The simple answer to that is people got problems. Life has complexity, and their life has its own complexity. This word sonder comes to mind. If you've been listening to me, you know I got an obsession with this word sonder. Sonder is the realization that everybody you see, every passerby out here, I don't care if it's a homeless man, somebody coming up out the alley, somebody driving a Benz, somebody working at McDonald's, everybody on this earth lives a life that is just as complex and vivid as your own. And sometimes we don't realize that. We get caught up in what we trying to do. We have that main character energy. I'm going to set my intentions towards this. I'm going to get this. I'm going to manifest this person at X, Y, and Z, this, and that. I'm doing all the right steps. So why is this person, not treating me well or this ain't going my way? It's because they also got their own complexities. They got things that's holding them back or making them go in certain directions. And we don't really realize how much our life complexities influence our behaviors and our decisions. And we're going to see this perfect example through Helga. I found this clip. It's like 20 seconds long. But I think it sums up everything that's wrong with her. And we're going to take it a step further. So let me pull up this clip real quick.
We didn't have therapy when I was a kid.
That's obvious, Bob.
I don't want you blabbing to some school shrink. We Patakis don't talk about things. We sweep them under the rug.
Some things are best swept under the rug, Helga.
Whatever you do, don't blab anything or they'll give us all a one-way ticket to the funny farm. You got it?
I got it, Dad.
This never would happen to Olga.
Oh, I know, P.
Alright. So that was a lot. Like, I know that was a 20-something second clip, but they said a lot and revealed a lot right there. And it's crazy when you really think about it. So let's break this down. Helga is so messed up, and part of her life's complexity is the parents that she has. Like, the way that they are, the way that they treat her. Let's break it down. Helga's mom. When I was a kid, I remember seeing her always looking a little, she just woke up tired and what's going on? I don't know, groggy like. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe she just be napping or something like that because, Helga at school, Bob at work. She don't really have much to do. She a stay-at-home mom. This is where my mind is going as a kid. And then she drinks smoothies all the time. She always wants a smoothie. And I'm like, maybe she likes smoothies because she want to be healthy. Like, my dad drank a lot of smoothies. So I'm like, you know what? They on the same page. And I couldn't have been more wrong. My young mind, my poor, young, innocent mind, had no idea what was going on. Truth be told, this lady was depressed. And she was an alcoholic. This lady had a DUI. Like, I don't even know if y'all remember that, but she got a DUI and was literally out here doing the little steps that the police have you do when they tell you to get up out that car. She did not get her license back. She had a lot going on, okay? And her marriage wasn't the best. Like, the relationship that her and Bob had was not great. They did have flashbacks of her when she was in her younger years and the things that she used to do. She had a lot of potential, like a lot. And that kind of went down the drain when she decided to marry Big Bob. She decided to dedicate her life to being a wife and a mom. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, where it's not just about dedicating your life to being a mom and a wife, because some people, that's what it's meant for them. But I'm talking about where you make certain decisions and you let life kind of pass you by and you don't realize everything that you gave up on, especially when things don't pan out to be the way that you want them to be. I could see how that would drive her mama to become an alcoholic. That's a lot, right? She even had this one moment where I guess she was trying to be a good mom and trying to pack Helga a lunch, but it was like, okay, where my lunch at? It's not in the place where you say it's at. She's like, oh, it's not in the refrigerator? Okay. She opened the oven. The lunchbox was in the oven, and when they popped it open, it was like shaving cream and stuff in there. So it's like, clearly you're drunk. Like something is wrong with you. But if you think that's bad, look at her dad, Big Bob. Big Bob was an arrogant businessman who just had a tendency of rubbing people the wrong way, period. Like, everybody knew him as a grouch, knew him as mean, very dismissive, and emotionally unavailable to his family. And he had no issues with that. Because the clip that I got right here, it literally said that he would rather Helga suppress her emotions, sweep it under the rug. We don't talk about things. That's not the Pataki way of being. Like, no. So this is just the type of people that her parents are. And it's crazy because Helga gets her personality from her dad, and she looks just like him. It's so crazy how much they put into this cartoon and how much they thought this out. But if you think that little summary that I just gave you about Helga's parents is like enough to explain why she is the way that she is, it becomes even more complex than that, okay? Because she has an older sister named Olga. Olga is significantly older than her. I think she's off in college, I believe. But when she comes home, her parents treat her like royalty. Her drunk mama is completely sober when this girl's at home. That's weird. That is so weird to me. Like, you got this young child who needs you more than anybody in this world, and you only sober up for the one who really don't need you. How that work? Like, I mean, these both your kids, treat them right. And then the dad, who is emotionally unavailable, don't really care to spend much time with Helga or nothing, he becomes the dad of the year. He's invested in everything Olga does. He cares about cheering her up. Like, it's messed up. And as I said, it was already clear as to why Helga was messed up, but the way that her parents treat her in comparison to her sister, it just makes everything more complex and messed up than it was before. It would be one thing if Helga was a bully and it's because she never saw love, right? It would be one thing if she never saw it, but she did see it. She saw it being given to someone else. She just was never on the receiving end of it. The poor girl had been walking herself to school since she was like 5, and she would tell them like, I'm leaving, I'm on my way out the door, and they would not care, you know? So I could only imagine, I don't have to imagine. They showed a clip of it when she met Arnold at a very young age. It was like a shock to her nervous system because he displayed acts of kindness that she had never encountered before. And she acknowledged that kindness internally and loved him for it, but her external reaction was like the complete opposite. It was almost as if she wanted him to believe that she hated him. Like, what? You love him, but you want him to believe that you hate him through your actions and stuff. But she picked up that suppression and that type of attitude from her parents. You know, that's what she was taught at home, but also the just defense mechanisms that she developed over time to keep herself safe. But to have somebody out here like believing that you hate them and you really love them, that's a serious mind game. Like, people play that mind game as adults in real life today, where they're like, oh my God, I love this person so much, but if I reveal that to them, if I let them know, that I start to lose a sense of control. This is how I keep control. This is the only area of my life I have control in. Like, that's a manipulation tactic, and the poor girl don't even know because she's so young, but I'm telling you right now, that's something that happens in real life, and that's a serious mind game for a 9-year-old girl to be portraying. That's what I'm saying. They did they big one with this. They layered some stuff into there. But you might be wondering, like, why would this matter to Arnold? Although Arnold shrugs off anything Helga throws his way, like, he really just don't pay her no mind. All right, I gave it to you. I tried to be nice. You didn't want it. I mean, it is what it is. Any average person, like the average person, would not take it so lightly because everybody don't think the way that Arnold do. You know, as one grows into an adult and these behaviors continue, someone continues to display that behaviors that Helga is displaying, they start to resemble things that we're familiar with, such as emotional unavailability, invalidation, and gaslighting. Like, someone like Arnold with pure intentions could be in a world of hurt and confusion if they continue to try to pour into somebody like Helga. And I think many of us with pure intentions have experienced this at least once in our lives, you know, where we end up giving too much to a person and they just can't get it right no matter how much we give. It's almost as if, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count for anything. And we could literally be pouring our heart and soul into it, and it's just like nothing, no return on investment. These experiences honestly make it harder to ever want to do it again. It starts to put you in a position where your heart is at risk of being hardened. Like, you stop really believing in love or believing that the real thing exists because of this person's behaviors. You even might start to internalize it, like, am I not good enough? You know, I'm giving to you, but it's like you don't want to receive from me. Is it me? Like, you know, it leaves you in a world of confusion. And it's hurtful. But if this was Arnold's true feelings on the situation, he would have to take a step back and fully review the summary of Helga's upbringing to understand that this girl got problems. Like, she just got problems. Like I said, people got complexities. The life that Helga lives is filled with complexity that motivates her in one direction and holds her back in others. And, you know, some people are like, why do I need to reflect on that? Like, why is that my problem? And it's not that this moment of reflection is for somebody like Arnold to make excuses to forgive and keep that person in a life, but it's an opportunity for him to forgive and experience the true freedom that forgiveness gives you if you take that path. Because sometimes, again, we get so caught up in like, why is this happening, that we can't see, you know what I'm saying? So you do need to be able to move forward in some capacity, because you're like, well, why is this happening? You could leave this situation with somebody like Helga and then end up in another situation because you're not really picking up on the signals that this person has. Sometimes you do got to do a little bit of, like uncovering. Again, it's not that Arnold's kindness is not kind enough or that his efforts go unnoticed. It's just that when his effort meets her complexities, they don't mix. She can only reciprocate what she knows how to reciprocate. And she could very well believe that Arnold is really nice and but she might also believe that it's unrealistic because of her upbringing. If she never received love like this is what happens in real life. When people never see real love and you are the first one to present that to them, it is unrealistic to them. They've never seen it. If she's never seen her parents have a loving relationship, how could she ever learn to love? It's not personal. She just can't see it because she's never seen it before. You are the first one to introduce it to her. You are never in her vicinity all the time. You can't rework her mind. I wish we could. We want to be, right? We want to be those people, but we can't. It's just that the best way that I could just sum up everything that I'm saying right now is that we encounter people when they are walking a particular path in life, and we just so happen to cross paths. Like, let's say you walking down the street, I'm coming out of this Starbucks right here, we meet up right here, boom. You walking your path, I'm walking my path. I don't know where you coming from. I don't know why God got you walking this path right now. I don't know anything about anything, but your complexities are leading you somewhere, and I can't stop you from going there. I just can't. I can't change it. It's like the way that I could explain complexities is it's like having wrinkles in a shirt, right? And like this little wrinkle right here. Wrinkles have to be ironed out, and sometimes we want to be the person who changes someone. We see their potential, and we want to be the one that changes them and to help them see like the light, and then they'll be able to have this story like, I'm forever changed. This person really taught me about love, but that's not our job. Like I said, those complexities are like wrinkles in a shirt, and our love is not the iron. We cannot expect to be able to iron out this person's problems and iron out this person's complexity. That is something that only God can do. Only God can do that. And that's why I said we on our path. God is leading them down this path, and he literally might be leading them down there to iron out some of those complexities. They just so happen to meet you. Maybe you might be planting a seed. Maybe you might be giving them a gem to help push them forward, but that person has to work through that on their own. And the way that they treat you in the meantime is not personal. It's just because this person is messed up. Sometimes I think understanding where people are coming from, their perspectives, it just gives us peace to understand that it's not us. We can move on. We can let them go. They're on their path just like you're on yours, And I hope this gives you a sense of encouragement to move forward. And it's easier said than done, though, because as I'm saying this, it makes total sense, right? But the moment this happens to me in real life, like when somebody takes my kindness and like doesn't reciprocate or like just disregards, I get so mad about it because it's like I wasted my time, or I can't believe that you would do something like that to somebody like me. So everything that I'm saying might go out the window, but in order for it to not go out the window, we got to do some work on ourselves. And in order to forgive and move on from these situations a little quicker because they're out of our control, it is important that we turn inwards to understand our own complexities, right? The reason why this is important, why I'm saying point the finger back at yourself, not because what you're doing, some about you causes them to do this or causes you to attract this, all of it kind of plays a part. But I'm saying this to say, when you understand why you do the things that you do, it's easier to understand why somebody does what they do. Like, for example, if somebody is in constant worry, like that's a feeling that we've all experienced before, right? I've experienced worry about certain things in my life, and my circumstances might be different. Like why I'm worried is totally different as to why you're worried. But if you truly understand why somebody was worried, you'll be able to get them some slack. Because I experienced how crippling that could be for somebody. Like if I'm worried about something, that cripples all communication with people. Like I might become standoffish. People might think like she ain't messing with me, she cut me off for this and that, but like I'm going through something, I'm worried. So then you start to put the pieces together. Okay, well, I've seen enough. They might not have divulged everything that they were going through with me, but I've seen enough to know like this person got stuff to worry about. They caught up in their own little world, so I could just move on with my life. This clearly is not for me. I can't be here right now, but I also don't need to internalize it. As kind-hearted as I am, as understanding as I am, and how much I want to be there for people, I have to understand that I can't. It's so messed up. I sympathize with them. I empathize with the situation entirely, but it's too much for me, But you think about it. Like I said, we get mad at people for doing things that they do to us. And we like, why would they do that? And we don't really understand it. Sometimes we look for clarity, we look for closure, but oftentimes the closure is in the pudding. And the pudding is like their circumstances, things that you know about them outside of what they did to you. Like their upbringing, who taught them how to be this, who controls their lives. Some people still rely on their parents to make decisions for them. So like sometimes they got people in their ear. That's a level of complexity, right? Sometimes people might ghost you because they got certain things going on, but it's not, it's other complexities. It could be complexities in a moment, like money, this and that. Like it's a lot that makes people who they are. But somebody like me, I've internalized that in my life, and I want to make sure that other people don't do that. I say, you did this to me, but like, why did I end up doing something to somebody? Like I said, I've had worries in my life where I done left people alone, not because they did something to me, but because I was so wrapped up in my mind that I couldn't even focus on that. So when you understand that about yourself and how you maneuver in difficult situations, like if somebody taught you something, I stand firm in my convictions because my parents taught me this. It's easier to understand the next. And listen, I'm closing this because it's something else I want to say about these complexities, because we can't be people's healers, and it's important to understand it, but it's also not our job to fish for information or always seek clarity. I'm just saying to give people grace. Sometimes people do stuff to us and we want to give them karma. Either we want to give it or we want to see it happen, because it's like, you did me so dirty that I don't even know why God is letting you get away with this. But this is where we take that step back and we understand that God is giving them grace in their complexity, because we also have complexity where God had to give us grace. Through grace is where God is forgiving us, for our sins and stuff like that, because life became complex. Life became really complex with sin, to where we had things that we had to navigate, and God understood, like, okay, at this point, I told them I'm here for them. I want to be here for them, but they have to obey. But I understand that the way that sin that creeped into their life, and the way that the devil tries to do certain things, and it creates a certain level of complexity to where I have to give them grace and I have to give them time. And then God takes his time with us, because we ain't all the way right. I don't care how kind-hearted I am. There's things that I don't do right. So God is giving me time to get it together. While you meeting that person on that path and you encounter them, y'all got to part ways, because they still got to go down that path, because God is still ironing out those wrinkles, ironing out those complexities, so that way things aren't so heavy. Sometimes people change, sometimes they don't, but bottom line is people got problems, and we have to understand we got to let people deal with their problems and move around. We don't need to internalize it. We don't need to do none of that. But yeah. Yeah, I feel like I just ranted a lot, but that all came off the back of this cartoon. Like, this was all embedded in this cartoon. Everything that makes this girl who she is, and probably who she'll grow to be, is somebody who struggles to show emotions, and that's probably going to ruin a lot of her relationships in the future. And there's a lot of people who could relate to that, who dismiss, who disregard people who love them, who give to them. I would just say, if that's you, take a step back and think about that too. But that is a lot to unpack with it. But yeah, it's really for our freedom, our forgiveness, to be able to understand our own complexities and be able to see other people in a different light, to be able to give them grace, to be able to understand, to be able to give love in a different way, to be able to love from a distance, because I understand I can't touch you with a 10-foot pole. I can't do nothing with you. You know, you causing me more harm than good. I'm pouring into something that's not pouring into me, but I understand that there are just life complexities that lead you in another way. That's all I want to say. That's it. That's all. I hope you understand what I'm getting at. But before you get mad at somebody for doing you the way that they did you, why do you do people the way that you do them when you are not in a good space? Just think about it. All right, y'all. Have a good one.